Welcome to Whitelight and the Beacon. I'm your host, Jennifer Faladoring. This is my co-host, Candace Whitelight, and we're here to talk your ear off tonight. Candace is obviously on location somewhere
I
amazing.
am. Yeah, it's amazing for Montana. So this is a pretty lively place. All of a sudden, it was dead quiet an hour ago. But it's in Billings, Montana. So anywhere
Awesome.
that you want to get to that is, to the east, you go through Billings. So it's the biggest town on that side, and it's not the capital, but it's a big place and lots of commerce and actually a good sushi place. So that's why I'm here.
Love sushi. I love sushi. I'm just basic the rules. I get the rules with
Yeah,
like shrimp or something in it. But
yeah,
I love that.
yeah.
So
Me too.
anyway, tonight we've got a lot of gentle. I'm gonna go ahead and let
Ah,
you guys know that first, and because I haven't talked to Candace in a couple weeks, other than hi, are you doing the show? And I want to find out where she's been and what she knows and what she's been doing. But I don't know about any of it, but so I want to put this out there first and see if anything matches up. So thank you all for
sounds
joining
good.
us tonight, and then we'll get to some questions later. We'll see what people are saying in the chat. Just for anybody watching, today is the 6th of June, 2023. And situation update, Gentel from Archangel Michael and Archangel Gabe. So I went into meditation today. I met them on the 6th level of heaven, projection of consciousness, and I saw them there in the field in front of my tree. And I basically asked him all the questions that people have been asking in the chat, everything, but everybody's asking me over and over, and a couple new ones. Again, to see where we're at. Everybody's talking about a sonic boom that was on the East Coast. Was it what? Candace, did you hear about that? Was it in New York or Washington D.C. or something like that?
There actually has been quite a few worldwide. So I
Oh, that
know
makes
that
sense.
there was
That
one in
helps.
Washington D.C. that had to do with a aircraft that was discovered over the Capitol, and that they pursued. And so there was a scramble of military craft, and there was no response from the Cessna. It was a Century, which is a big Cessna, and it flew away, and then it came back, and still no response, and it got shot down over the hills of Virginia.
Okay. Let me tell you. Let me tell you what I got. Damn it! I should have just said it. Okay. Gabriel looks at me and I said, "So, what was the cause of the sonic boom? Was it a sonic boom or what?" And he said it was actually a long range missile fired
Yes. Well, that's a confirm because
right
I
there.
I haven't actually heard if it was who it was shot down by, but if you're going to have an aircraft that is not responding over your capital, where there's clear demarcations in terms of airspace restrictions, you
Yeah.
are going to be either shot down or you're going to land. There's no in between. So because the craft did not, land, then there was probably a kaboom, and that's what people would hear, and there would be a sonic boom because the military jets are flying very low at that point in time, which the Cessna was only at about 15,000 feet, and that's very low. So there we have our number one.
Right on. So we got that. We got that figured out.
Yeah.
Excuse me, I'm putting the reading glasses on.
Yeah.
No old jokes, all right. All right. So I asked, when will Joe Biden's character be removed from office? And I heard in the summer, no more specific, nothing on that. But then I said, what would that look like? And he said, you will hear on the news. And then I heard, I didn't see it, but I kind of saw it, but it was mostly heard. I heard a woman anchor, a news anchor's voice say, Joe Biden has been removed from office for failing to and then it just
Yeah.
like trailed off. And then I was trying to get what the tip was, but for failing to.
Yeah.
So this is probably going to be the narrative that he failed to do something, failed to
Yeah.
comply, failed something somewhere. But basically, a long time ago, we were told that Joe Biden would be removed from office for trying to start a world war.
Well,
Why are
that's
they shooting
already
long-range
done.
missiles down over the country?
Yeah. Well, the thing about all of this is that there is very definitely a moment in time where there's going to be what's called a Cuban Missile Crisis, which is what happened to Kennedy, of course, when he was first in the presidency, as a matter of fact. And
Mm-hmm.
it was about the Russians coming into Cuba. So that is what happened this last week as well. And once you get an incident that's an international incident, you are going to have a response from the president that has to be immediate. And if he dinks around, the military will just go, "You're out." There's not going to have to be any other action. The military will step in and take over. It's not any second guessing at that point. And the real secret here, Jennifer, which is like, something that we just have to all know about, is that Biden does not have the nuclear football. Trump has it. And so he can't do jack shit about, launching anything in response. Now, in Kennedy's time, he was able to, you know, react to it, and he sent boats out that were loaded with, nuclear ordnance, and they could have ended the war real quickly.
Yeah.
But fortunately, it was negotiated, or it became a situation where Castro actually backed down. And that was the necessity because the Russians said, if you don't comply, then we're going to bomb the snot out of you. And so it was a real standoff, and nobody can make light, of this situation that isn't going to happen for us. And,
We were
for,
told by the angels a while ago that the any war was going to be on the screens. Like it wasn't going to be real. So they might
well,
be
it
setting up
wasn't,
this.
yeah.
Let's say Putin and Trump and Xi and everybody is part of the alliance,
Yeah.
and they're like, okay, we got to get him out of there now. And they create
Hmm.
some kind of scenario that he's supposed to respond to, setting him up and say, hey,
Yeah.
he's got to respond to this or he's out, and he doesn't, then that
It's
would be
over. There's just, and you have several incidences now that have stacked up that all have that footprint on it. Because, if you're a president who doesn't have the final say so about anything, what are you going to do? It's distraction, distraction, distraction. So they're sending out their minions, and they're wreaking havoc. And that's
yeah.
what we have seen, in a lot of the 14 cities that are primarily the big cities where they've had the problems with everything from, the voter situation to a disruption as far as Antifa. We've seen, the city councils and the mayors and the governor do odd things in certain, cities. And it's like something came up about the Lori Lightfoot, character in Chicago this last week, that she, I guess, is now resigned. So this is another indicator that, not all is well in Mudville, as they say.
Mm-hmm. Um, so the rest that I have is mostly about the RV and the financial state of the country and a
Yeah,
sequence of events. So I asked, people kept asking me about the ZIM bonds.
yeah.
And do people have to do humanitarian projects to redeem their ZIM bonds? And I asked Gabriel. He said, no, you have two choices.
Hmm.
We were under the impression that we had three. I was. Two choices: projects or not. If not, 11. Now, wait a minute. Disclaimer: I am a psychic professional, but this is psychic. This is psychic, information. I could be discredited at any point in time. There's no need to break down my door and drag me out of here. I do not have any inside information other than from God, Jesus, and the archangels. So
And
now
I
that
say
out
the
of the
same
way,
thing. Everything that I find out is basically the level where it's speculation. That's a good way to put it.
there you
So
go. There
we're
you go.
speculating.
Just girls talking over here. Um, all right, so here we go. Two choices. You can do projects or not. If not, 11 million US dollars per 100 trillion bond. So that's for the blue 100 trillion bond.
Hmm.
There'll be 11 million each. All right. If you just walk in there and just exchange it. Okay.
Wow.
If so, um, you get more money, but it depends on the needs of the project.
Right.
So he basically said, half must be used for the project. Zim holder gets their half first, and then the
Yeah.
rest is released at stages of completion to ensure progress. So basically, all right. So just like any other individual who's going to come in here and redeem these, you're going to
Yeah.
get 11 million per one. Okay. They
Well,
maybe
and
give you
this does
4%.
depend. I mean, you've got a viewpoint of it, but there's a lot of other details involved in this financial situation, which is state by state. And this has to do with the legislation that's on the books right now that has to do with money disbursement. So, each state decides some of those through federal regulation, but their banks have to be signatories. And, the feds are very, very tightly control this, except they don't tightly control it at all for the deep state. And this
Okay.
is where we've caught them in the last 3 weeks dead to rights in terms of what it is that's coming across our borders. The assets that the people are bringing in that are illegals. We have just, statements
I
of
know, but this
from
is
the
for behind the scenes exchange of the foreign currencies and bonds that we have.
well, and that's again, we're talking about you just can't do an overview and say that's the way it's going to work everywhere. I guess that's my statement. So,
Okay. But what I got today from him is that, I can always be wrong. It's been known to happen.
mhm.
Um, but what I got today was that if I was a person who walked in, let's say I had five Zim, I walk in, I want to exchange them. I don't want to do a humanitarian project. They'll say, okay, here you go. There's 11 million piece. Okay. He said that if you do a humanitarian project, that will be higher. But so the way they do is they say, okay, so you're going to do a humanitarian project. They may give you 14 a piece because you're a humanitarian and they want to reward you. So you get what he's saying is that that part of that money is available to you. Then the money that they approve for your humanitarian project is in queue, okay? And you can't and they will release those funds, if I'm understanding him correctly, at stages of completion to ensure that you're doing it and the progress is being made. And I'm sure there'll be some kind of project managers to oversee that.
Yeah.
If you fail to do anything with your project and they have approved a certain amount of money, um then you already got legally, they can't, you can't say, well, I never got my money for my Zim. They gave you that.
Right.
Okay. You got that amount. That is your personal funds. Okay. The money for the project will be given to you at stages when you say, okay, we found the building, we're going to purchase it. Okay, here's this much. Okay. We've
That's
got,
it's just like a contract. You have to set up a contract. We are a country of laws, and the biggest law that exists is contract law. And if you have a contract to purchase something, you can't renege on it. It's like you sign on it, you say you're going to do it, And people think they're just going to walk away from their debt when that's not true. So some of those funds may end up going to pay off your contracts. And that's also another lane that this money will be used for. And I'll tell you what just came out recently. It's very important to think in terms of that it's already happening, because we have hundreds of millions of dollars that were given for COVID relief funds that are sitting in state treasuries, and it has not been spent yet. So this is money that was taken from the taxpayers and put into these funds that was supposed to be paid back to the people that were affected by COVID, lots of air quotes. And that money is still sitting in the coffers of the states that haven't used it. Now, certain states like New York spent it 3 times over. They owe money on it. And California. But states like Montana, they never handed it out. It was like they ended our COVID relief fund payments for unemployment because everybody was sitting on their ass not working. You couldn't find anybody to work. So our governor said, everybody back to work, the end of the program.
Okay. So
So that's a consideration as well.
yeah, but just considering people that are holding foreign currencies who are going to turn these in. This is the information when I refer to the RV. That's what I'm talking about for anybody that's new to the topic. What is happening with the RV? Will they revalue at once? Gabriel said they are revalued now on the redemption screens and ready.
But foreign currencies are now held by everybody. I have no foreign currencies.
I understand that, but I'm talking to people that do.
Well,
That's
I
what
know, and
they
that
were
was real
asking me the
important
question.
because of one individual that had a whole bunch of dongs, right? I mean, I'm going to make fun of him. And basically, that is it's a complete fraud, and that's my opinion. I think it's something that they told people about that would happen, and basically, that's not going to happen. That's my opinion. And the reason is because there are tons of other assets that a person can draw from, depending on how old they are, if they went to school, if they have contracts out, that somebody that's in really deep debt and has been waiting for this to come along so they can pay everything off, it's not going to be a one on one. That's why you're coming up with these kind of, when you ask a question, it's like going to be answered part and part, for a certain part of the people, not for the other part. But it's really got a much wider context than just making it one thing that's going to be
I'm not.
rewarded as far as
Now,
what percentage. So
the RV is first. This is for the revaluation of currencies worldwide and then eventually ours.
well,
And
this
then
has to do
all
with the
the currencies.
dollars. This
This
is
doesn't have to
dollar.
do with the change of dollar. That comes later.
Okay, but
Uh,
you can't suspend it in the air in terms of saying, well, this is how it is, so that's how it will be. No, everything is in flux. There's just a ton of changes right now going on in all currencies, and it's like saying, okay, where does the dollar sit today? Well, it's worth $1.03 in the UK. It's worth $1.06 in the Soviet Union. I
all
mean,
right, let me get through the
anyway, so go
nutshell
ahead.
and then you
All
tell me
right.
what you think. Because
All right. Well,
this is
that's
kind
what I
of
think.
those things that you're talking about, the other factors to it.
Yeah.
Uh, I was given kind of a timeline on that.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Actually, a sequence of events that leads up to Nasara, Jasara, and all of that, and the gold standard and everything else. So, are they all the foreign currencies going to revalue at once? Apparently, on the screens for those that go in to revalue their currency and turn them in privately, there is a value ready for that. That is not a public value. You're not going to see that. You're not going to get information about that out in the public. And I asked, when does the debt get canceled? Before or after the RV? And he said, when the USA defaults.
Oh.
And then I was given a 2-month timeline. Um, First, we have the RV. And this is why they let the debt ceiling, they rose the debt ceiling. They let that happen to buy some more time. So we have the RV first behind the scenes for those that hold currencies, which is happening for larger groups right now and confirmed by inside people that work in those positions. Then we're going to have a stock market. Number 2, stock market crash. Next event. Then we have the public RV. Then we will have the public rates out, and they will be much smaller, much different than what you get behind the scenes. Number 4. I assume when the USA defaults, the dollar fails. After the public RV and all the other countries put out their RV rates, my understanding from him was that our dollar fails. Number 5, issue the new dollar and the gold standard. I said, will the EBS happen? When will the EBS happen, or will it? He said, late summer after everything else happens and the cabal tries to take power back by force with riots and terrorists. We're starting to see some of that happen already. But when all of this happens and they got nothing else, that's what they're going to do. And that's when you're going to get the EBS. And that's what it would have to be, something major like that to justify setting off the EBS to inform the public and to keep people calm and to tell them that everything's going to be okay, we're taking care of it.
I'm on air right now. And yeah, just leave it. Thanks.
So, number 1, RV happens behind the scenes. Number 2, stock market crash. Number 3, the public RV, where we will see that the countries around the world have revalued and we didn't. And then the dollar fails, probably when we default on the debt. And then I don't know if those two are connected. I'm assuming that. Number 5, issue of the new dollar and the gold standard. The EBS will be late summer, probably into fall. I've always seen it in the fall. And I've always seen it that way, that it happens to inform the public to stay indoors, that we're taking care of this. This is why this is happening. This is who it is. And this is what we're doing. And then they come out with the military to get rid of the riots and the terrorists and everything else that's going on, all the people that they've been flooding the borders with all this time to have in place. So basically, at this point in time, you got the big guys in the cabal disabled, right? But the cabal is such a huge web of people and companies and that has gone on for what? Forever? That you're still going to have players that do have private funds or funds that are going to be playing ball, and they're going to say, okay, send them in, send in the troops, and they're going to pay these minions to go out and create chaos and make it look like, probably after Biden's removed, after we've gone to gold, after everything's changing, they're going to go out there and show how outraged they are and create chaos. And that's when the military will come in, late summer to fall. All right, now you can tell me why that's all wrong.
I don't know where to start, because you've got it defined in a very linear way about a very linear institution, when the cabal is not linear. It's like multi-layer. We used to always say,
I just said that.
it's like an onion, and as you peel one thing back, another thing becomes evident. So I can make one statement: is the corporation that has run our country and the world is on its way out. Okay, so lots of indicators in the corporation are 3 phenomena that we all live and breathe by. One of them is credit cards. Another one is the internet. And the last one is the blockchain. If you talk about those 3 things instead of all the stuff that you named, I can follow you along, because one of those things is going down right now, and that's the blockchain. It's going to be harder and harder and harder for you to get goods and services. They're taking out train depots, they're taking out aircraft, they're destroying the bus industry, they're taking out the cargo industry. This is all stuff that's been crashing for the last year, okay? And if you haven't noticed it, you know why? It's because the people here are stepping up to the plate and going like, if we can't get it from China, we'll make it ourselves. And we're moving our economy right now into a positive state. And the only one left that depends on the cabal is the oil industry. As soon as we have a new player in charge, it's going to move our oil industry back into this country, which it was. When Trump came in, we were fully dependent on foreign oil. Within 2 years, we were becoming energy not only independent, but energy rich. We were shipping out energy from this country in the form of oil and natural gas and coal. Okay, so now I've hit on the basis of this. It has nothing to do with anything else. It has to do with three things: the corporation, the commodities, and then the credit. So I'm going to do three C's. It should be easy to remember. When the banks go down, what is going to be affected? Will the dollars under your bed be affected? No. Will the silver in your drawer be affected? No. What will be affected is the little plastic thing that you use to pay for everything. The terminals go down. Everybody goes crazy because that is the way that commerce is created, right?
Yeah, well, that's
We
only
go
going to be
online
a
and
very
we put
short
in a
period of
number.
time. They're not going to allow the giant monster that the public is panic for more than possibly maybe even 24 hours. I mean, they're going to come out and say, "Hey, you can't get any money. The cards don't work." And they're going to fix that real fast, because if they don't, people are already in a desperate place, and
Not
desperate
if we
people
have a
will do
CME.
everything.
They ain't going to fix it until about 2 years from now. There's another player in this. It has to do with a natural phenomena that happens every 12,900 years. It's called the magnetic pole reversal. And if you guys haven't been watching Frequency of the Earth, that's your fault, because I've been talking about it. Ben Davidson talks about it. Diamond Dave talks about it. Lots of folks are saying the next thing to happen. We have had two gigantic M class flares in the last 2 weeks. Fortunately, they were not pointed at Earth. One M class flare pointed at Earth is going to make your day really bad, folks. It will
So
not
you're
only
saying
take
that they're
out the
bringing the
banking
mega
system,
down. So you're saying the
that's
basic,
right.
and that
It's
no one is going to be able to
electricity,
use
it's the
credit cards
internet, it's
or electronic payments or be able to get money out for 2 years. That
well,
would
the
be
thing is
like,
about something like that is that it's about infrastructure. So what's vulnerable in our infrastructure? I'm giving you a little lesson here, okay? This is my work, because without this information at your ready, at your hands, knowing how you are hooked up, what you're dependent on, you're going to be really hurting when this happens. So just think of your own life. Think of the dependency that you have on a single item that sits in your driveway all the time, except when you need it. And it goes on, bing, karoom. It's all electric, by the way. It will go down and it'll be broken. Now you're going to have to go out and buy new equipment. You're going to have to buy a new starter. You're going to have to put it in. And if everybody has it going down and all the starters are sitting in China, do the calculation yourself. This is where people are going to be hurt if they don't have an alternative method of going to the store and getting their food, which, by the way, all those terminals that you pay for your food, boom, it's gone. Are they
yeah, but
ready
it just
to go
doesn't
to
make sense
cash?
to me logically. It doesn't make. I mean, I'm sure what you're saying is fine, true, but what in the plan? So this whole time we've basically been like basically okay. Yeah, we've suffered. Yeah, we've it's been inconvenient. Yeah, it's been
No, we're
we've lost
still going out and buying groceries. We're still having dinner out. Salute.
right.
You know?
And most of the world doesn't have their own land to grow their own groceries, and they live in a place where they don't have enough sun all the time. Like me, or they've got deer coming in the yard that eat everything. Um. So, but listen, let's take a look at
The
the plan
deer are pretty tasty too, so don't put that aside. Go
now.
ahead.
This whole time, we're going to work on this plan for probably who knows how many times they've attempted to do this and how long they've planned this and how
Hmm.
intricate and how amazing and how intelligent this plan is. So we're going to get to a point where everything goes to shit. I mean, like nobody can function. We can't use money. Nobody's going to have any electricity and
No,
everything's
because it's
crap. I mean, that's
I
what's
got a
going
different plan, okay? Don't go hysterical here yet. I'm just telling you that the outside, we are overdue for the shift. We're overdue for a catastrophic possibility that is going to ruin a whole lot of people's day. And it's a catastrophe that's happened many times over and over again, and it has eliminated mankind at one point in time. It was called the Noah's Flood. That's a geophysical phenomena. So that's what I'm talking about. Now, all the other details, you can go on and, categorize all the little details that'll happen. But I'll tell you what really I think is going to happen is that we have right now a document that's sitting in front of the Supreme Court, and it was filed by the Brunson brothers, by Lloyd Brunson himself, because it was sitting bound up in a state court in the 10th Circuit, actually, not a state court, it's the 10th Circuit. And they'd put it aside. They hadn't done anything with it. And I actually met Loy this last weekend, and we had a very long discussion. The case that he has is about the emergency preparedness of the country. It's an emergency provisional act. It's called a writ of centori, which is based on a constitution. Now, the number on it is 221028, and it basically is being ruled on. It's already been docketed. It's going to hearing. Now, there's a break that's going to happen, and it happens every year between July and September. And everybody goes home. The whole government goes home. This is summer break. So now that it is sitting there, they can bring about a hearing, and they can have a hearing, and they will determine at that point in time whether it is played out or not. Now, this particular writ of Centauri is a very good quality. They've worked on it for years. These guys, these four brothers, have put all of their time into it. No marriage, no kids, no nothing, full time. And they are doing the yeoman's work to work legally within our system. And within that system, it says in the Constitution, if these people didn't uphold their oath of office, it becomes a national precedent in terms of being able to take those people out that did not do that. Because it's not just a matter of them saying their oath and then going into office and everything is la di da. This is about something that you write down a response on paper, you sign it, and then you have it certified. Just like when you go in to buy a car, you have to sign on legal documents and you have to have things, looked at by somebody who has a license to do this process. Okay, so you write your name down, you're good for it. It's a contract. So a lot of those folks that are right now sitting in Congress, including the President of the United States, Nancy Pelosi, who's no longer Speaker, but she is we're going after her. So they can all be given notice that they cannot return to their jobs. So this period of time that we have between, when they go on break and when they come back, the summer, is going to be a a regular time. Nothing big is going to happen. And why? Because they're all scared to death that this is going to happen to them. That will turn the tables on everybody. We'll flip
I'm
them
going to
into the
trust in
air.
what I got because how else are we going to know what's going to happen? I mean,
Well,
I doubt seriously that we're going to lose electricity and everything else in the bank. They're not going to let the world stop turning if they can help it. They don't have any power if it does either. And I'm just saying that from what I got from the angels today, and that's what I do,
yeah,
is I try
yeah.
to get the answers that can't necessarily be Googled or found.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm going to trust in what they told me. And as far as I'm concerned, the RV is real. It is happening. Our turn
Well,
to
there's
stop.
definitely something happening. I'm not.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't just.
there is
I
something
just said
happening.
I.
It is going to
It
happen,
depends
and
on
it's
the
coming.
yeah, on the name you give to it. I mean, I don't think it's something that we have to necessarily pinpoint because it doesn't affect everybody. You've got
Most of
very
the people
different
listening to us
circumstances.
today are in on this topic, and I got the
Hmm.
questions that I wanted to answer from
Hmm.
them from
Right.
their talks in our chats. And so
Yeah.
these people are involved in it.
Hmm.
Um, actually, have somebody who's working in it, brokering big deals that knows quite a bit. And
That
this
works
is
for a
what I
bank,
say. I
or I
say
mean,
2 month timeline, we get the RV, then we get a stock market crash, then we get the public RV around the world, then
I
the
just
dollar
don't agree that
fails,
there's a schedule here.
and we're
There's
going to
no
issue a new.
schedule. I can
No, that is
say
just
yes,
those
that
are just
sounds
events
nice,
that I
but
got from
how are you going to
Arcane Fleet.
prepare people for it anyway?
That is a
How are they
secret.
going to, in knowing that it's 2 months away, that what do you do? Stuff your mattress with dollar bills? I don't know. It's none of it makes sense to
No, this
me.
RV thing, people have been in on this for like 12 years, even more, 20. Some people knew about it. Um, this is
Well,
something that
this
less
whole
than
thing about
1%
Gassara and
of.
Asara, can I give a history lesson? Because this is
Sure,
really
do
important
that.
for me. In 2001, there was a date that was looming, and it was in the actually a lot of people knew about this, and it was for a Gassara to take place. That basically means that the government was going to go through a complete cleansing. Let's put it that way. So they were going to, and the reason that I can state it in this manner is because I did some research about it years ago. Because what they do is they suspend the Constitution. This is continuity of government. Now, if you talk to certain people, we're already in continuity of government. Okay. So this happened in 2001 on the morning of the 11th of September.
Yes.
And due to the circumstances, you know who was in charge then. And the G.W. Bush crime family and Dick Cheney and his band of evil, they basically created a crisis. And it was a big one. Nobody will forget that day. But the way they did it was, and a lot of people have speculated about this as to how they actually pulled this off, because several things happened right afterwards and not a lot of people were watching. So you had the mainstream media that came in and kind of took control for the day. They landed every plane that was in the sky. That's no easy task. And they then proceeded to put what was called the Patriot Act in force. And that particular situation was what they had planned for a very long time in order to take all of our rights away. Now, did anybody notice that? That after
Yeah, well,
that
what you're
point of
talking
time,
about with the Brunson case and with all of that really has to do with election fraud, really has to do with the political part of things and taking people out of office and all that part. The thing that I'm talking about is the financial transition.
but
We're in the
they're
middle of.
one and the same. I can't separate this out. And besides, the Brunson suit is not necessarily about the election at all. It's about the oath of office. It's about the Constitution.
True.
And, I'm going to have this when I get back in town. I'll be cutting this portion out of the 13 hours of presentation on Mary Crowley um, Rumble channel that she just put up, 13 hours worth, from the early morning to the late in the evening. And it is jam packed of people that talked, and a lot of them did talk about this very process. So this is brand new as far as I'm concerned, with a topic that has really been beat to death as far as what's going to happen to the money. It's not about the money, it's about the Constitution of the country, it's about the Republic. And anybody that says any different, I'm
I
sorry.
know, but this the RV thing is a worldwide revalue
Correct.
of
But we're,
everybody's currencies
mhm.
so that they can line up with Jasara. Okay,
It's
now
not going to
apparently we're
happen
not
that
going to
way.
do that,
It
but
has already happened. See, this is like historically trying to tell somebody that all of this scam that has been perpetrated ever since 2001 didn't matter. Didn't matter. They stole all of your money. They increased your taxation. They took the EPA out and stole people's property. They did environmental protection law with, you know, taking away complete housing tracts and mountains. I could go on and on. I lived it.
I know, but this part of it is not a scam. They actually sell foreign currency. There are people that we
Well,
know
I
that
know,
believe
and that's,
in
I
science.
know
There
that the
are a
reason
lot of
that,
things going on. This is an
yeah.
actual real thing. It is happening, people, and this is what I got
Well, it's
today.
happening to very. I heard
So
some
whether it's
statistics
wrong
this
or right,
weekend. Well, it's not wrong or
don't
right.
stress
It just
about it, me.
it doesn't exist in terms of most people's mentality. Do you know it's more important to people as to where they get their internet from? When you sit down at your computer and it isn't working, what consumes your day? It ain't the foreign currencies that you hold. It's about trying to get your
No, but it
internet
is
back
absolutely
working.
important to me and to everybody else that's in the chat room right now because most all of us have some. We have been waiting to
Well,
hear
and
when
I
that's
my
going to
question
happen.
is why? Why did you invest in something that's going to potentially have no value? It's like the stock market. I watch people that go like crazy about this. Goes up. That's great. Look at what cryptos have done. How many of you out there have crypto?
I never
Are you
invested
all
in
happy
crypto
right
because I
now?
never thought that it would be any good. But there are a lot of millionaires. There are a lot of Bitcoin millionaires who got out at the right time. Now, Donald Trump has a lot of foreign currency. A lot of
Well,
people
I
do.
mean, he's got a lot of
Governments have foreign currency.
money to start with.
There are different tiers to the RV that are
Yeah.
cashing in their foreign currencies, and it is very profitable. So it's a completely separate thing. It's actually less than 1% of the population of the planet knows about it. But it's something that this group of people that watch us is very into and ask me questions about. And that's why I went and
Well, I
answered.
know it's become a real pinpoint, and I all I can say is that that's not my gig. So my knowledge base is about what's really going to happen and what's really going to affect people. So all I can say is just we'll sit and see, because I truly think it'll be the credit cards that'll go down and people are going to ask about how that's going to work. Well, that's pretty easy because there's like two switches in the entire company, and there's four switches in the entire country that control your internet, by the way. I found that out when I worked with a guy that knew. He'd done
See, this is
systems
really going to piss you
analysis.
off. I still think there'll be credit cards after this whole transition is over. Do you know why? Because the world and buying things online and over and other and buying, you've got expense accounts, you've got fuel accounts, you've got it runs on people having a card in their hand and they can go on vacation and they can say, throw the card or I can purchase things from China or wherever they want to do it. It's easy. And
Well, you know what?
If players can kind
It's
of hand
going to
out
come
funds
back to
to
being a
different
better
schools,
system. Right now,
I think that it
it's
will
not easy
not
to
be
have
the same
50% of your
infrastructure. It'll be
it's
different. They'll get rid of the fraudulent, compound interest and all the ways that they do that. But there will probably will be still there. It'll
well,
be up
I'm
to
not
you to do
disputing that it'll
whatever
still
you
be
want.
there. I'm just saying that the potential for something that is going to affect all people. Let's look at it for a second just in terms of reality checks, okay? Worldwide, what one thing it would affect everybody? And that's taking out their entire ability to go to the internet. That's where your connections are. You know, I used to install satellite dishes, and those are pretty vulnerable, right? Lots can happen to things that are up in the sky. And a CME that comes in, you're not going to see it or hear it until it hits you in your pocketbook, which is it can erase entire data network systems. So let's talk about something that's really possible here, even with the deep state. And that's what's really scary about this is the manipulation of our money. And another thing that's happening right now, whether you think about it or not, is a part of your everyday life. And that is your food stream. So again, it's like they're putting toxic chemicals in your food. You're being fed
True.
plastic. You're being fed fetal remains. You're being fed things that you can't even pronounce. Does everybody read labels on the food they buy? No. Does everybody check into who the growers
But
and what they're using is? You know?
you can't. Yeah, that's got to change, and it will. There's going to be a
Well, and that
rule
has
out
to do with your
with the
health.
industries and
Let's
cleaning them
let's
up.
talk about health for a second.
Okay.
I mean, that's one thing you have to do a lot of is heal people, right? I mean, isn't that again one of the reasons that we
Would you say that that's possible?
well, and to say that yes, you know, getting closer to that understanding of how your body works and being able to actually proactively manage your symptoms without having to go to the doctor or down to the pharmacy and buy stuff that treats the veneer of things that are wrong with your body. You know, I mean, I've studied this completely. I just talked to a guy today. You know, stopped getting gas out here on the interstate and down in Wyoming, and he had a trailer behind him, and he had a big old Angus bull in the trailer. And I looked over at it, and I walked around the pump, and I said, "Well, that big boy, he's probably getting taken out to take care of some girls." And he smiles and he says, "Yep." And I think he knew it too because he loaded into the trailer really easily. And we had a good laugh and we started talking. I have a degree in animal husbandry, and I've been very proactive about people getting involved in these issues. And, you know, for me, it's pretty plain and simple. You don't take a vaccine that you don't need, okay?
But we're
That,
just kind of trailing off to different subjects here. But
yeah. Well, they all play a part. I mean, I know how, and I appreciate you immensely in terms of dealing with that audience. But, you know, to be honest with you, that's not my audience. And I also just don't think you guys are, you know, I mean, I said the same thing to Mike, and he said, you know, I'm done. I just said, you know, you guys are like, you're too single issue. And this is not a single issue these days. If you pin your hopes on getting money out of foreign currencies and the whole world changes, you're going to sit there going, oh shit, why didn't I, you know, sort of start looking into this other stuff earlier? So, you know, where I have sat back and I've been a part of this for
it's
a
your
very long
opinion,
time.
and you have it there. We come in contact, Mark. See all these different people who
Yeah.
have studied this topic extensively and have a lot of real world knowledge about it. Um, it basically is an investment that people have been waiting a long time for something to happen for that to pay off. And when it does, it will be profitable. And the people who said, watch other people get paid from it are probably going to be a little disappointed they didn't get some. That's just what I'm saying. But
Well, and I would say the
I
exact
believe the
opposite. I'd
taxes.
say that you'll get your money and it'll be in fiat currency. And how long is it going to take to go through it when a loaf of bread costs $1,000?
Well, that's why I'm saying with the sequence of events here, we're
Yeah.
leading up to the gold standard. And that's
Well,
what we're going to have
this
to
this
do
is
because
not
the fiat
really.
currency is failing. And this is what I got as a sequence of events that
Yeah.
leads up to that. And that's what everybody's waiting for. And along with that, along the
But
way, we
but
take the,
you
the
gotta.
bad government out of office and we clean up our country. And then we start going and taking a look at what the vaccines have done and what's in our food and all the other ways that we can start cleaning up once we get the bad people out of the way.
Well,
Um,
that's a nice story, and I wish you all luck. Because all I can do is tell you my perspective on it, and I'm sort of like on the other side of
but you're
the
not taking
planet.
into account my perspective on it,
Well, I
which is
am.
not
I mean,
fair.
I totally live.
And
I've
you want
listened to
me to
you,
see
and
your
I listened to Mike
perspective and
Barra
see what's
for
going on.
forever. And he's got his whole hopes pinned on the almighty, payoff, as it were. And the rest of his life is in shambles. You
Yeah,
know,
that's not
I mean,
fair. We don't
let's
want
just
any
be
talk about
honest
that.
about
I don't
this.
think that's fair, Candace, because I address a lot of different topics, and I usually take a look at what people are asking me and what they need right now, and I
Right.
go and ask questions about that, and then I bring it out.
Well, I mean, that's fine, but I'm not the person probably to nod their head and just go, "Oh yeah, that sounds good," because I don't believe there is any schedule. I don't believe that people can pin their hopes on false pretense, which is really what you're talking about. In my mind, it's my opinion. Okay, I've been listening to presentations. I go out in the world. I watch commerce. Everything is going to stay pretty much the same. Everybody is going to have what they need through the summer. And the deep state is going to continue to do weird shit like sending aircraft over Washington, D.C., and we have to shoot them down. How many times will that happen before people start to get a little nervous? This is about controlling our emotional constraint so that we're not like put off by things that go boom, because this is
But
going to become a possibility.
you're saying I shouldn't say these things when I get this
No, I'm
psychic
not saying that. I
information,
didn't
but
say that.
you're
I
coming out
said,
and giving your opinion and telling
yeah.
us that's it.
No, I'm
Clearly,
just
we
saying
still
it's going
have
to be
different
very
opinions about
different
what's
than
coming.
anybody thinks. I
Uh-huh.
mean, we, it's
Well, we
not
can
going to
all have
go
different
down a
opinions about what's
schedule. I mean,
coming.
I can't see that at all. I'm
This is
sorry.
what I
That's
do. This is what
okay.
I do. When people ask me questions, what would you like to
Yeah.
hear? What would you like me to ask the angels? I take a look at what's trending on the chats. I take a look at what people need right
Well,
now. I
everybody
go and
wants
ask
a
questions
timeline,
outside.
and
People are
that's
hurting really
a
bad
time.
right now, and a lot of
I
the
know,
people
but look
wanted
at
this
their own
information.
lives. Back up a second. Back up for a second. If we keep giving people timelines that don't work out, how much, you know, how much do you want to be responsible for that?
This is the
That's what I
sequence of
told Mike
events.
over and over again, because the thing is that there's things in play that only God knows really how this is going to go down. And it will be different for a lot of people. The farmer out there, he's going to continue to water his cattle and put the bulls out and raise
Well,
the
in all
youngins.
fairness, that's what I was trying to do is get it from God. But
Well, see,
Candace,
that's what works for me. But it's not one person's responsibility to tell everybody else what's going to happen. It's the individual's responsibility to
I
look at
know,
their
but that's
own
kind of my profession.
circumstance,
I
to
mean,
connect. And we've talked about this, because I do think that that's something that we can teach people, and I'm really into that. So, for me, it's like saying, okay, I over the weekend I just had some tremendous, synergistic, fantastic experiences with people, and what happens is that I can use the skills I have that just say the right thing at the right time. And that gives somebody their own principles to rely on. That's the statement that really founded this country, is that we are sovereign individuals. We are capable of becoming our own individuals for our own needs. If you're a woodworker, spend your money, go out and buy tools. It's a good investment. Just a recommendation. You don't have to do it. If you're a cook, I recommend that you get a lot of manual tools, things that will work without electricity, that you get stronger so you can knead bread. I mean, it's simple stuff like that that a person is going to be able to take unto themselves instead of waiting around for their bank account to have a bunch of zeros and ones. That doesn't make
Yeah,
sense to
but
me.
Candace, as a whole, there are people living in apartments. There are people living in major cities. They can't just go out and grow their own food and do all their own stuff.
I'm not saying they have to go out, and they can go out and do something that makes them happy. Is there something wrong with that?
No,
I mean, I lived in a big city for a long time. I lived in Seattle, Washington. I created a business for myself. I did what I was good at. I worked a lot. I was on the A team. I enjoyed it. And then the idea came to me, this place is totally out of whack. The liberals are running the town. And they're putting false pretense in to our lives. So I moved out to the country, started raising horses, flew airplanes, had a great life. I did what pleased me and what worked for the people around me so that we could all be a community. And this is the other ideal, is that as long as we are basing our entire lives on something that is singular and ethereal, dots and zeros, then you're not going to be friends with your neighbors, and learn how to do bartering. Let's go back in time a little bit. Let's take what we have in front of us and do something with it. You know, I've lived a long life. I'm very healthy. I didn't get any jabs. I haven't been sick one day. Why? Because that's what God gave me, this gift, to be able to move through life and to raise kids and animals and train people to do things. It helped them. I'm not
yeah,
an egotist.
I
I
have
don't,
done the same thing. And now I get to do what I love and what makes me happy, and that's giving people the answers they need to move forward in a
right.
positive direction. I don't
Well, and
believe
I do the
I've
same
been through
thing.
many dim days. I
That's
don't
great.
believe that everything's going to go black and everybody's going to be,
Well,
with
I think we should be ready for that potential.
there's
I
always a
think we all
potential
should.
that
We've been talking about
Yellowstone
this for 30 years.
could go off. There's always a potential the big earthquake could come and it could have a tsunami swallow up California. There's always some doomsday scenario out there, you know? And
Well, there is, and again, it's historically, this is repeated over and over through the
but
ages. But,
now, since
you know,
everybody's been through a very hard time over the last
no,
3 years or more,
no.
everybody's hanging by a thread. You know what people need help? They need hope and they need answers and they need
Well,
day by day. How are we going to get there?
it's,
And they don't need to worry about, well, someday everything's really going to go to shit. And,
no,
they
you've
just got to keep going.
misinterpreted what I said, because what I am saying is that a person is involved with their life in terms of what is going to affect them. So go through your systems, talk to your landlord, look at your power sources, look at your internet sources. Just become knowledgeable of your everyday needs, and then get to know your neighbors. So if something were to happen, and it would be leaving people that are truly needy, like the elderly people and children, that
Hmm.
you could then offer your assistance and help them really
Well,
service
I'm on
is the
board with that.
ideal
I think
here.
people have been doing that a lot more. I think it's something that really people are
That's
really
good. That's the Great
they're
Awakening. Yeah.
becoming more
Yeah.
aware of what's in their food and what's in their water and what they need to have on hand and how they can make things themselves. There's been a
Right.
big wave of that sweeping the country ever since the pandemic.
Yes.
And I do think people are on board with that. Now, there are a lot of people, when you tell them do what makes you happy, are
Yeah.
so busy doing everything to make everybody else around them keep going and be happy that they don't know what you're talking about.
Well,
I
there
know
is,
there was a time.
psychologically, I certainly can say, because I worked with a lot of women who really had no self. They were so totally involved in other people's needs that, I did tell them to go within and to start to do some self work and get rid of your wounds and traumas. Come to a point of service. Get to a point in your own life where you have what you need. You know, worked with a guy that this weekend was doing a display for doing what's called hand weaving. And
Mhm.
it just took merino wool skeins and then a certain technique of weaving things together. And you could create, all sorts of fabric that is very strong and very durable and useful for all sorts of stuff. I met somebody that does jewelry and does stuff that is very powerful and Native American and learn about your cultures. These are the things also that enhance a person's life. And I'm just, I'm trying to explain it the best I can that, being one source, yes, okay, everybody's pinpointed on having Zim bonds. I mean, how much can you eat in terms of Zim bonds? I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me to it's like again I'm trying to enhance the conversation, not tear it apart,
It's
and
like
I
a lot of you
understand
that
your
the
focus.
certain people that have
Yeah.
accumulated who watch this show and Real News Live on Monday and Wednesday mornings.
Yeah.
Um, we have in common. And so that's why it's been talked about so much, because when I'm on there, people want to know this and they want to know that and they want me to
Hmm.
ask. And
Well, and how much has I mean, I'm not asking you to evaluate your whole thing, but then again, it's like to me, fielding one set of questions and saying the same things over and over and over again to a group of people, I mean, I start to get kind of like, is there anything else you guys are interested in? Um,
oh, we talk about
so,
many things.
you answer the questions and then I'll answer questions that come in my direction, I guess. We just have to,
That's a good
put it
idea. Let's
into
do a question.
perspective. Yeah. So,
Let's find some.
so you
All
got
right,
any
Chris, do you have
questions
any
there they want
questions
to
for
know
me?
about, or
Put 'em up.
are there questions?
Yeah. Trying to find some, mostly comments. I don't know. I could put them up, so I don't know how to put them on there so you can see.
That's
Um,
okay. Just I couldn't read it anyway. It's so
Sometimes
small.
the lighting goes all freaky, and now I'm glowing, so I don't know how to fix that. I don't know how to fix
I
that.
can't turn the skin it either.
No.
So just read it.
Let's see. Oh, that's not okay. Hang on. I can't read them unless I put them on the screen, so I don't know what I'm grabbing here. Um, let's see. Anyway, people ask a question. You guys want a personal reading? Oh, there we go. We'll just use it. There. Chin looks angelic. Thank you for that. Could have used that today. Um, someone said it's biblical, not logical.
It's biblical. Thank you. Yes, I agree totally.
Yeah, I'm
Let's
all on
talk
board.
about topics about hope and faith and justice and love. Things that we can
I'm
build our
interested
lives
in
on.
RV too because I'm involved.
Yeah.
I wasn't until about a year ago.
Well, see, that's the thing that your basis is very much on uh, truth and trust and faith, because there's a lot of things that I just go from day to day with. It's like, where do you want me to be, God? I mean, I don't really make a lot of plans. I ended up here for during the time, and I'm all good with it. And then I go out and get in my truck and I head out. So I don't kind of run on a schedule where I can say, well, next Monday, I'll be here at this point in time. I have a lot of variables. So and it's okay by me. My whole life has been like that. Anything else? What does that one say?
Before my husband lost his job, we were forced into an apartment. I tried doing a large garden and chickens and fruit trees. It did not work out. Well, it's you got to learn some things before doing that. I remember chickens can be tricky, you know.
Not everybody is, set out to be a farmer. Like I say, commerce is based on a whole lot of commodities. Are you a better knitter? Do you like to knit? Everybody needs a knit cap. I have a lot of friends that are crafters. I myself am a crafter, and for me, I don't need to sell stuff, but then I give things away a lot of times. Shungite pendants. In fact, I gave one away to a lady I met that we just kind of hit it off, and she's doing some investigative work for me. And so I gave her a shungite pendant. That to me is commerce. That's putting good energy out there. So these are the skills I think that will become more important than the isolation that we've all lived with for 100 years. Is it isolation is how they have been able to pull off their programs on us. And this, I think, is more damaging than any virus, anything that could go down financially. Even, mankind has survived for a million years and had lots of these resets come about. And, maybe there were less of them over time, but we came back and we came back big time. And it's just a matter of saying that this is going to be somewhat the same. I i don't suspect all of us are slated to continue on for the next 100 years. So ask your creator, ask God. you know he'll
Well,
tell
I
you.
asked Jesus one day, because I was concerned,
Yeah.
being the only parent that I would die early and leave the girls, and they would suffer another loss like that.
Yeah.
And so I asked to see myself in the
Yeah.
future. And I saw myself sitting in a park in a chair, and I was just like planted there. Okay. I was old. I was really old. I saw myself from behind, and then it was the first person. And then I was looking out at what looked like somewhere up here in the Northwest. It looked like a park. Ever so often, you've got a pine tree trunk. And I was looking, and I remember sitting there, and I heard myself thinking, and I said, I did it. I've done everything I'm supposed to do. I was supposed to do. And then I
There
heard
you
off to
go.
the left. I saw some like commotion, and I heard off, or to the right, actually, that's the left here. Um,
Hmm.
one of the girls said, "Mom, do you want a plate?" And I'm thinking I must be really old for somebody to be serving me, because I'm always the one up getting everybody food.
That's a
And
good perspective.
so I've
Yeah.
had that for years. I've
Yeah.
seen other visions, but
Beautiful.
just so that I would know. So I know that I live on, and I'm not the only one, and that the planet's still here, and everybody
Yeah.
survives, and it looked like pretty good to me. I've had another one where there's millions of kids around of all different ages, and they're playing volleyball. Same
Yeah.
kind of scene. Same kind of scene. I think it's Northwest, and so we do live on. The planet doesn't end. We are going to have a bunch of changes, and
Yeah.
those changes are for the better. And it's very important that people see the most positive outcomes. We do everything
Yeah.
you're supposed to do every day. You pay your bills, you go to work, you live within your reality right now, right? It's okay to daydream. It's okay to believe that things are
Yeah.
going to get better, not worse. Don't
And
spend
be
your time
different.
don't
Be
spend your
different.
time focusing on the doomsday scenarios. Don't spend your
Yes.
time focusing on all the terrible things that could happen to you. You need to help create it. You need to be part of creating that happy ending.
Agreed.
And I completely believe in happy endings. And I
Yeah.
absolutely believe in everything that I've said here today.
Well, and we're, that is your
So,
strength because it's the strength of belief that carries you forward because each day you wake up and say, "Thank you, God, I am alive and well."
mhm.
And, you start off your day with stretching your body and drinking some good fruit juice and vegetable juice
And
and
retrieving
waking yourself
information
up,
about financial situations. For me, that's not about zeros in the bank. It's about people hurting and people coming to me one by hundreds saying,
Mhm.
when is this going to change? When is it going to be okay? Am I going to
That's what
make it?
everybody
Is
is
it going to
focused
be
on.
okay?
Yeah.
And that's when
Yeah.
I go in there with all my heart and soul and I ask these questions and I depend and I trust on God, Jesus, and the archangels to give me something
Mhm.
to bring back here to keep people going. And that is my profession. And then I teach
Well,
other
I
people.
talk to God individually every day, and I don't want to minimize what you do at all because it's what you do, and you've seen that you've helped people and that you have that result. But I can say for myself, I don't go out seeking other people's opinions. I work with God in my heart and I talk to Him directly. And some of the navigation that I've had to do in my life is pretty severe, you know, but I don't care to repeat it. So I don't. And that is part of my training and what I have advised people to do. And I have people that come back to me, 10 years later and say, God, you just told me one thing, and that's to trust in God and to talk to Him, and it works. And I'll go, like, that's great. And I didn't charge them a dime. I give my advice for free, and that is no slam against anybody that doesn't. Let me tell you, you got to make a living. But for my purposes, this is all stuff that each of you can figure out for yourself. And don't be reliant on dates or times or bank accounts or, dots and zeros because it isn't real. We're living in illusion. And as soon as you figure that out, you'll have a life that's worth a lot more to you than just, you know, illusion. And we have become a part of illusion because of a string of media events that happened in all of our lives where they've been able to grab a hold of us ethereally. You're controlled by something you can't even imagine what it really is. You don't know who that other person is. I mean, I came in front of the camera on this show because I thought, well, it's time to let people know what I really, act like because I think it's important. And for everybody, you make your own choices that way. And you're a very authentic person, Jen. You live a good life, and you prove it every day with a lot of people. And I have great respect for you. But the idea is that all those people that we see, and this issue came up this last weekend, it's about the patriot movement. We have a lot of patriots that are jawing their mouths, and all that's coming out is just a bunch of garbage. And there's people that have hung their hat on this Gasara and Nasara thing to the point that they, are like they've got thousands of people that check in with them every day and every little moment of their Phil Godlewski crap. I mean,
Everybody,
excuse me.
everybody has information in their lane. Whatever they, why would the Patriot movement is going out and doing all of these tours? Pretty sure people are making money off of that. doing
Well,
all
they
these
aren't
tours.
actually. A lot of the people are not paid. And that's the thing that, again, I just want to correct some wrong thinking here that, there's a bunch of folks that have used the word grifter about people that have, products on the market or they have a paywall or anything like that. These are all, again, we're talking about a fantastic technology that we have. And nobody should be look askance at this. This is fantastic. It will endure. It will endure this time because it has some really good points. But on the other side, it's been used for very bad things too. And it's been used against people and it's conned people and it's scammed people. And I personally have dealt with a lot of those issues. And I can go on and say, everything that's been said about this particular person, a lot of it is just, it's hateful, it's spiteful, it's jealousy. And it's the green with envy complex that a lot of people unfortunately get consumed with. And that doesn't happen when we're dealing with people in person. It doesn't. If we can learn to be friendly to our neighbors and get together and go places and, have get togethers like these conferences and tours, because then you get to talk to the real people. I met S.G. Anon this weekend. S.G. Anon is the number one patriot that has real intel. And he told me the name of his mentor.
And why would
And
he
I
do that
taught
if he's got real intel? Well, he told you the name of his source?
of his mentor, the person that brought him into this, that was Air Force intelligence that has worked within the agencies, the very information that we all want to hear about what really is going on in the military, in the politics, that's controlling our lives. I mean, that's what's important, is that we have relinquished the control of our lives to a set of people that we don't even know. So why does it depend on stuff that is dots and tittles and decimal points when in actuality it's real people that we need to seek? And when he told me who it was, I kind of immediately, I knew the authenticity of his words. And I got to stand there and I shook his hand, and it brought me practically to tears because the man that was his mentor died 2 months ago, too early. This has happened to a lot of patriots. They've lost their lives for this process. We just went through a holiday. Remember, everybody, a week ago? It was Memorial Day. We celebrated, or you don't really celebrate this, we honored the dead that have died for the cause of what we have every day, which is our freedom. And if you didn't take a moment on that day and respect it and say in a very sincere manner, I appreciate your service to our country, even though they fought in wars that were completely wrong. So
Yeah, I'm very
that's where we
familiar with. My
stand.
dad is a Vietnam veteran.
Yes,
So, if we don't
yes.
have any questions, I am going to have to get going. Still
Yeah,
got
me
to get
too. I got to get
dinner.
back on the road, but I appreciate this immensely, and just want to say to everybody, I'm open to anything that we want to talk about. I have a strong opinion because I've been in this for 30 years. So, I've seen it in a certain way. You have, and hopefully I will gain some audience here as well. I kind of am hoping for that because I met a lot of good people this weekend. So thank you very much for your time, Jen, and for putting this together. And you guys have a good week. I think I'll be back on later this week, and I'll be at home next Monday, so we'll see how it goes. I don't think there's any more holidays, but it's now summer, so enjoy your summer. Get out and get get some places. Go up in the mountains. Swim in a mountain lake. Get your feet wet. So thank you.
You're welcome. Are you dropping off now, or
Well, you
I guess
can
I got a few more things
close
to
down
say. I would just
the
like
chat. I
everybody.
can. Yeah,
I would just
I
like
could.
everybody to know that you can go to jenniferflaw.com if you'd like to book a reading with me. You can also get healings. We have. I am accepting just a handful more of basically psychic development, interdimensional meditation students. And what I do is you will
That's good.
receive sign up for that. You'll receive 9 classes that took me 12 hours. It's 12 hours of work teaching how to do interdimensional meditation, basically help you understand that you're already receiving information right now and how subtle that is. Then we pair it up with a biweekly or monthly 1 hour coaching session, and I am your spiritual journey mentor. And we talk, and we have been having a great time. And I've got a few people that are done with their sessions, and I've got a few slots open. So if you're interested in that, you can go to jenniferfalaw.com. Actually, just email me. Go to jenniferfalaw.com. My email is there, and tell me you're interested, and I will talk to you about it in the email. Looks like I'm not sure if I'll be doing another show this week. I may. Um, I will keep everybody posted on Telegram. Also, we have opened our free reading group back up on Facebook. It's a large group that I've had for many years. It's basically where, you know, started reading for people online there. And you can post a question and a picture, a specific question. Do have approved readers there, but please go to Free Psychic Reading, Speaking of Light, on Facebook, and ask to join. We do have rules. And Marcy Howell, Susan Gretz, and I have started it back up again, and we're doing all kinds of free stuff for people over there who are in need. You can also go to Telegram. Where is that banner? I'm not good at these banners. Anyway, go to Philosophy on
Cool.
Telegram. I don't even know if I put it up here in the ticker. There we go. Bink, right there. And you go to Philosophy on Telegram. We have a chat group. Everybody's having a great time over there talking about everything from their dogs and music to things that are happening in the world to the RV and everything else. And all are welcome in that group if you're nice. Okay. Otherwise, I have a channel there. So go to Philosophy on Telegram. I want to thank everybody
That's
for
good.
joining me here tonight. And we will
Let
be.
me say my website too, because I have a bunch of really cool tours that are happening this summer, and I've got a couple listed on montanageologytours.com, and that's my business. And then I also have Frequency of the Earth on Facebook and Montana Geology Tours on Facebook as well. And there are chats. I also have Wano Sabin on Telegram, and I also put a lot of presentations up of his on Rumble on 107 presentations, and there's going to be some really good ones that are going to come up. So look at that, and then I put all of those products up on Telegram so that you can keep track of the kind of intel and stuff. And I also am going to be doing some stuff with a new group that is being put together, and that is kind of an exciting project too, which is also in the works. So, and that does have to do with more of a self-help type of thing, and also a discussion about martial arts and preparedness in terms of our physical body. So, along with the faith, we also have physical ability, and then of course, we've got to have mental ability too, and all of those things can be honed together, and each person can be risen up in terms of the frequency so that you just won't have to deal with all of this. As soon as you get that frequency up high enough, it all becomes pretty irrelevant because this low frequency agitation that we experience, it keeps you down. It keeps a lid on your abilities. So that's just another concept that I'm working on. So thanks again.
All right, thank you. And I will be posting, and I already have actually posted the Gento on philosophy on Telegram, and you guys can go and read it for yourself and read my notes. I want to thank you all for joining us here today,
Thanks.
and we will be back next week with
Thank you.
another interesting topic. Good night.
Night.